that the highest King would welcome me. I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Free at last.
Free at last, He has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
I'm chosen.
I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Singing, I am chosen, not forsaken.
I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me,
Any new group or Sunday school class or whatever in the church usually goes about deciding a name for themselves. And as long as I've been around and been a part of any of those experiences, it's always been an interesting process that a group will determine their name. Well, I once heard of a Sunday school class that was for parents of young preschoolers, and they were deciding to rename themselves. And they had kicked around several possibilities, some stuff like seekers or searchers, maybe even learners. But all of these seemed a little too removed from kind of the everyday wear and tear of their lives. And finally, there was an idea that rose to the top. It was simple, it was truthful, it was inclusive, and it was playful. So that next Sunday, the name on the door simply read, Tired Parents Class. And that was all it needed to say, right? Change is constant in this world, right? And it seems as if change is coming at us with an ever greater velocity. Parents are not. We are all tired. And often it feels like we are no longer living the lives that we have, but rather barely dealing with life as it comes to us. I think about these things all the time. No sooner than I get a cell phone or maybe a new computer or have just learned a program on my computer, it changes. There's an update. There's a better model. Technology is always quickly out of date. Our doctors seem to always change. We change insurances, and suddenly we can't go to that one anymore. We have to go to someone else because they're no longer in our plan. But I've made a relationship with this one, and now I have to think about changing another. Our choices are no longer supported, and the decisions that we make seem to expire as quickly as the milk does in our refrigerator. The evening news is no help at all either. Instantly, we can feel the fear of some new variant on the rise, or the fall of the stock market, or the spread of war or terror attacks from anywhere in the world. If we ask anyone, any one of us, how are you doing? And then listen, we will usually, if they don't say it, we will sense it, overwhelmed. It's like we are not so much living our lives as it is that life is coming at us too fast to handle. It is at this point today that we encounter in our text in Mark, Jesus. It is a day in the life kind of story, and Jesus is the central figure. Within just a few verses, he bounces from need to need and place to place. This diary of his day could not be more jam-packed, even if he were a politician out giving stump speeches at every stop along the way. First, there's a high-profile synagogue situation, and that's then followed by a personal encounter with a sick woman at her bedside. And then that's followed by the private experience of prayer as Jesus steps aside for some time alone with God. But then the disciples interrupt. Actually, the word means hunted him down, and the cycle reboots all over again. It is a hectic itinerary. But maybe that's why it's in the Bible. This triptych of stories, one public, one personal, and one private, each invites us to kind of eavesdrop on Jesus' spirituality, how he lived, and the faith that he practiced among the demands of an overwhelming world. Maybe in this story, Mark's church saw their own story as they tried to meet needs and deal with various venues of ministry, while at the same time tending to their own spirituality, which had drawn them to Jesus in the first place. That beautiful intersection of the holy and the human. Pastors and lay people can appreciate this tension between the external and the internal, or the choice between an action-oriented faith versus a contemplative one. I remember a transition point in my life when my girls were young. And I often referred to myself as doing nothing but spinning plates. In fact, this was about the time Twitter came out. It's not called that anymore right now. I don't follow it. But when Twitter came out and you had to come up with some cute little thing about yourself, and it's still on there if you go look me up, that I was the master of spinning plates. But I was always fearing that I was going to drop the ball on something at any minute. And on most days, I wondered how I even managed doing all that I was being called to do. Wife, mother, pastor, friend, daughter, sister. It was crazy. It was crazy. So after a friend of mine said to me one day, she said, Dee Dee, if you're called to all of these things, surely God is going to help you manage it. I said, perhaps. And then I went on a retreat. I went on a silent retreat, to be exact. And in the silence, what I came face to face with was the need for balance. Action without contemplation is really like a ship without a ballast. It's a setup for sinking from disappointment. So on the one hand, what I needed to discover, and what we all perhaps need to find, is that contemplation without action is inert. It needs interaction with the outer world to be fed and to feed. So it's this balance that is important, especially when it feels like life is only coming at us at a high rate of speed. So I see balance in this text. And here's two takeaways that I want to name for us today. The first is, if you live your life as a caring person, there will be pressure and there will always be tough choices. It happened to Jesus and it will happen to you. So don't be surprised. Spiritual maturity rarely is applauded for very long. Though every congregation is different, pastors have a lot in common. We hear stories at the door as people are leaving about tales of whatever ailment they may be feeling, all the way from graduation ceremonies. And then there's those meetings that we attend following our times of worship. And then we will have the opportunity to talk to the homeless person that has come back by the church again. And then perhaps there's that mid-afternoon hospital visit before an evening meeting or gathering back at the church. It's this kaleidoscope of daily activity. But it is not more so than being a parent. As a parent, between our work and kids' school and home management and life that just comes at you, it is this landscape that we live upon. And some terrains can be changed, but sometimes they can't, and all we can do is accept them. That's number one. Here's number 2. Though we can't stop life coming at us, we can attend to the life that is given us. And this means attending our relationship with God. Now, I want to go off on some rant, but I've not always liked the statement made by Paul, where he says, I have become all things to all people, that I might, by all means, save some. We can read that in Corinthians. Now, I affirm his intention, as well as the noble need, perhaps, but the reality is that by Sunday night, it sounds like some grandiose recipe for burnout. I really prefer the punchline in today's Old Testament lectionary, which if we were reading it, but I'm going to read a part of it, but it's from Isaiah, where Isaiah sings out these words, even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I suspect that is what Jesus was up to as he kind of sequestered himself in a deserted place to pray. Perhaps by tending his prayer life, he found perspective above the fray, almost like wings of an eagle, looking over those woes and foes of life. And the story ends then with Jesus not following the advice of his wranglers. They had tracked him down, hunted him down, saying, everyone's looking for you. It's kind of a hook, right? If Jesus hadn't gotten his praying done, I wonder if the allure of pursuit or the price of fame could have done him in. To his advisors, Jesus said, let's head in the other direction to nearby villages so that I can preach there too, because that's why I've come. So it sounds to me that he had the kind of clarity that comes out of one's deepest identity, which finds its source and sustenance in God. So here's my challenge to you. When life comes at you this week, because it will, you'll be ready. Because you've paused and you've pondered and you've prayed. You might be a tired parent or grandparent, a tired pastor, or both. And yes, you've had to make some tough decisions and choices, but the reality is you have a tough faith. Even before the week begins, you have found a good place to remember that your life is grounded in the goodness of God. Let us pray. All-loving God, we give you thanks that whatever terrain awaits us, that you will meet us there, and that we will be enough. In the name of the one who came to dwell among us. Amen.
Singing, you give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that's broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath. It's your breath in our lungs, so we our love. Bring light to the darkness. You give hope.
You give hope.
You restore
You restore
every heart that's broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath. It's your breath in our lungs.
We
Pour out our praise. Pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. We pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs.
we
Pour out our praise. Pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. Pour out our praise to you only. Singing all the earth. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord.